What if your job wasn't just a way to survive, but a way to wake up? What if the work you do, the way you earn your living, wasn't separate from your spiritual journey, but central to it? In a world that often asks us to trade meaning for money, values for validation, and presence for productivity, the Buddha offered a powerful alternative, a path of right livelihood. He taught that your livelihood isn't just what you do, it's how you show up in the world. It's the energy you carry into every transaction, every email, every conversation. And more than anything, it's a reflection of what you believe is worth offering to life. Right livelihood is one of the Eightfold Path's core elements, not a suggestion, but a sacred invitation. An invitation to align our work with our values, to earn a living without creating suffering, to build careers that don't just feed our bank accounts, but nourish our conscience. This isn't about quitting your job and moving to a monastery. It's about asking one powerful question: can I work without betraying myself? Welcome back to the School of Buddha, where timeless wisdom meets modern life. In today's episode, we enter the realm of ethics in action. Together, we'll explore what it means to live and work with integrity. We'll reflect on the Buddha's teachings on right livelihood, uncover the deeper meaning of spiritual work, and ask how we can turn even the most ordinary job into an extraordinary path of awakening. Because when your career aligns with your conscience, when your work becomes an extension of your inner clarity, peace stops being something you chase. It becomes something you carry. Let's begin with a simple truth. How we make our living shapes how we live. It determines how we spend our time, what thoughts fill our minds, how we feel at the end of the day, and most importantly, how we affect others. That's why, in Buddhism, livelihood is not a side note in the spiritual journey. It is central. Right livelihood, sama ajava in the Pali language, is the fifth step in the Noble Eightfold Path. But it's not just a philosophical ideal. It is a practical, real-world commitment, a vow to earn your living in a way that doesn't harm others and doesn't harm your own integrity. You see, in the West, we often separate work from spirituality. Meditation is done on weekends or in yoga studios. Ethics is something we discuss in books or religious texts. And work is often a grind, a place of stress, competition, and compromise. But the Buddha taught something radically different, that your work is your practice, that your livelihood is not just a means to survive, but a reflection of your inner evolution. So what does right livelihood actually mean? At the most basic level, it means avoiding work that causes harm. The Buddha specifically mentioned certain trades that were incompatible with a path of compassion and clarity. These included dealing in weapons, in human beings, in intoxicants, in poisons, and in the killing of animals. These forms of livelihood, he said, plant the seeds of suffering, not just for others, but for ourselves. Because when we live off the suffering of others, our own mind becomes clouded, our conscience grows restless, our heart begins to harden. But right livelihood isn't only about avoiding harm. It's about actively contributing to harmony. It asks us to examine, does my work reflect my values? Does it make me proud, not in a boastful way, but in a quiet, peaceful way? Do I sleep well at night knowing I'm earning my income without compromising my ethics? This teaching invites us to be radically honest, not just about our job titles, but about the energy we bring into the world through our daily labor. Because even if your role seems small, the intention behind it is not. A humble task done with awareness can be more noble than a grand one done with greed. Right livelihood is the commitment to live in such a way that your work becomes a gift to the world, not a burden on it. Most people think of spirituality as something that happens in quiet spaces, in temples, in retreat centers, on meditation cushions. It's peaceful, serene, and detached from the noise of daily life. But the truth is, real spirituality is not about escaping the world. It's about meeting the world, fully, honestly, and awake. And there's no place where that challenge appears more clearly than in our work. Work is not a break from spiritual life. Work is spiritual life. Think about it. Where else do your values get tested so relentlessly? Where else are you asked every single day, to navigate pressure, ego, competition, deadlines, difficult personalities, and moral gray areas. Work is where your patience, your presence, your compassion, and your self-honesty are constantly being put to the test. And it's precisely because it's messy and stressful that it's such fertile ground for growth. In the Buddha's teachings, livelihood isn't something separate from the path. It's woven directly into it. That's because livelihood determines the foundation from which all your other efforts emerge. If your work is built on harm, on deceit, on exploitation, no amount of meditation will bring you peace, because deep down, you will feel the dissonance, the fracture, the quiet guilt of being out of alignment. But when your work is grounded in integrity, even if it's not glamorous or prestigious, it supports your inner world. You don't need to pretend, you don't need to hide. You can show up whole, and that wholeness is the soil from which insight grows. And here's the beautiful part. Even the most ordinary job can become sacred when done with attention and care. Whether you're sweeping a floor, coding an app, running a business, or serving coffee, if you do it with mindfulness, with an intention to serve rather than take, with an awareness of how your actions ripple outward, your work becomes a form of meditation. You don't have to change your job to live right livelihood. You just have to change how you relate to it. You can choose presence over autopilot, generosity over self-gain, compassion over convenience. You can treat each interaction, each task, each challenge as a training ground for awakening. In Buddhism, the spiritual path is not about withdrawal from the world. It's about engagement, with wisdom, with compassion, and with clarity. And your workplace is not separate from that. It is that. So the next time you sit at your desk or clock in or open your inbox, pause and ask, how can I show up with more awareness today? How can this work, not just sustain my body, but nourish my soul? Because every moment at work is a moment on the path, and every choice you make, no matter how small, can either feed your awakening or distract you from it. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when we hear a term like right livelihood. You might think, but I don't run a spiritual business, or my job is just a paycheck. I don't have the luxury of choosing something more ethical or inspiring. And that's okay. Buddhism doesn't expect perfection. What it does ask for is awareness, a willingness to look closely, honestly, and kindly at how we live and work. Right livelihood isn't about having the perfect job. It's about living with integrity in whatever job you have. And to do that, we must begin by asking ourselves deeper questions, not just about what we do, but about who we are while we do it. So here are a few reflective questions, not meant to shame, but to awaken. You don't need to answer them all at once. You don't need to act on all of them today. Just start by listening. 1. Does my work cause harm, directly or indirectly? This is the foundational question. The Buddha emphasized that the core of ethical livelihood is non-harming. So ask yourself, does my work contribute to suffering? That suffering can take many forms: environmental degradation, misinformation, emotional manipulation, or economic exploitation. You might not be the one pulling the levers, but are you helping keep the machine running? Are you facilitating harm simply by looking away? This isn't always comfortable to face, but it's necessary if we want to live honestly. 2. Do I feel aligned with what I do? You don't have to love your job, but do you respect it? Do you feel a sense of inner peace when you describe it to others? Or does something inside you contract or flinch? If your work constantly pulls you away from your values, you're not just draining your energy, you're diluting your essence. This question invites us to stop chasing what's impressive and start seeking what's honest. Alignment isn't about prestige, it's about peace. 3. Am I selling something I wouldn't use, believe in, or offer to someone I love? This question applies to entrepreneurs, marketers, influencers, even teachers. Are you promoting something that you know deep down doesn't serve people? Are you shaping messages that manipulate instead of enlighten? Even if it pays well, even if it's just part of the system, does it sit well with your conscience? Because the moment you have to numb or silence your inner voice to keep going, you've already started the trade-off between truth and survival. 4. Does my work nourish the world in some way, even small? Not all work looks spiritual on the surface. But the question is, does it heal or harm? Do you make someone's day a little lighter? Do you provide something that helps others grow, recover, connect, or learn? Maybe you're a school teacher, or a coder, or a delivery driver. Maybe you answer phones or clean spaces. Every role, no matter how simple, has the potential to be part of the healing. Ask, does my presence in this job make the workplace more human, more conscious, more kind? 5. Can I bring more mindfulness, compassion, or honesty into what I already do? Even if your job isn't fully aligned, there are always ways to bring the Dharma into it. You can speak with more kindness, set better boundaries, offer support to someone struggling, choose not to gossip, communicate with clarity, show up with intention. You don't need a new title to practice right livelihood. You just need a new relationship with the work you already have. The purpose of these questions isn't to pressure you into quitting your job tomorrow or turning your career into a charity. It's to awaken your conscience and to help you walk into your workplace as a practitioner, not just a worker. Because here's the truth, most people sleepwalk through their careers. They chase income, approval, or status without ever asking, is this making me more alive? Or is it making me numb? But you're not most people. You're here, you're asking, you're awake enough to even care. And that alone is the beginning of right livelihood. Let's face it, money matters. We need it to survive, to care for our families, to fulfill our basic needs. The Buddha never denied this reality. He wasn't against earning a living. He was against losing ourselves in the process. Right livelihood doesn't ask you to abandon your income. It asks you to re-examine your intention. It asks, are you working for survival or have you begun to work for illusion? Because somewhere along the way, modern society convinced us that wealth equals worth, that productivity equals purpose, that being busy is the same as being valuable, and so we started climbing ladders without checking where they're leaning. We accumulate, we hustle, we achieve, but often, in the pursuit of more, we forget what we're making more of. Are we making more joy, more peace, more connection, or just more noise, more speed, more stress? This is where Buddhism offers a radical, freeing shift. It reminds us that meaning, not money, is the true measure of a good life. Now let's be clear. This isn't a call to romanticize poverty or reject success. It's a call to live intentionally, to ask, what kind of wealth do I really want? Wealth of the heart? Wealth of relationships? Wealth of inner clarity? You can earn well and still live ethically. You can build a career and still stay awake. But it takes vigilance, because the line between ambition and addiction is thin. One serves your growth, the other consumes it. So how do you build a life around meaning? Start small. Start by noticing. Notice when you compromise your values for a bonus. Notice when you silence your voice to stay likable. Notice when your body is exhausted but your pride pushes you to keep performing. Notice when your relationships are suffering because your schedule is overstuffed. And then, instead of reacting with shame or denial, respond with compassion. Ask yourself, is this what I want my life to be about? Because here's the secret. The world might reward your productivity, but your soul responds only to presence. You don't need a high-paying job to live a meaningful life. You need alignment. You need work that honors your conscience, that lets you sleep well, that doesn't require you to fragment yourself into different versions just to keep going. And if you're not there yet, it's okay. Most of us are works in progress. Right livelihood isn't a destination, it's a direction, a daily commitment to ask better questions and make braver choices. It could mean shifting your job slowly, or setting boundaries more clearly, or refusing a promotion that crosses a moral line, or finally starting the project that's been burning in your heart for years. Because in the end, the question isn't, what do you do? It's, who are you becoming through what you do? And if your answer is someone more honest, more awake, more compassionate, then you are already walking the path of right livelihood. As we come to the end of this reflection on right livelihood, I invite you to let go of one idea right now, the idea that your work is just a job. Because it's not, it's your offering. Every day, When you rise in the morning and choose to engage with the world, whether that's through a profession, a role in your family, or any form of contribution, you are placing something on the altar of life. The question is, what are you offering? Are you offering your stress, your ego, your resentment? Or are you offering your presence, your patience, your purpose? Right Livelihood reminds us that work is not a distraction from the spiritual path. It is the path. It's where we bring the teachings of mindfulness, compassion, honesty, and non-harming into motion. It's where we turn noble ideas into lived experience. It's where we practice staying awake, not in the silence of a monastery, but in the noise of a meeting room, a shop floor, or a digital screen. And this path is not easy. There will be compromises. There will be moments of doubt. There will be times when your values are tested, and walking away from harm feels like walking into uncertainty. But that is the very edge where growth happens. That is where you discover that spiritual integrity isn't something soft or abstract. It's something fierce. It's the quiet courage to live without dividing your soul for a paycheck. So ask yourself, not just once but every week, every month, am I working in a way that brings peace to my heart? Am I living in a way that leaves fewer scars on the world? Am I willing to evolve, not just my skills, but my soul? And remember, right livelihood is not about having it all figured out. It's about walking the path with your eyes open and your heart aligned. It's about knowing that every honest effort matters. That even in a world of moral shortcuts, you can choose to take the longer, quieter road, where dignity replaces deceit and service replaces self-gain. Because ultimately, this is not just about your job. It's about your legacy. Not what you built, but who you became while building it. Not what you earned, but what you embodied. So today, offer your work not just to your employer, but to life itself. Make it a prayer, a practice, a path. Let it carry the weight of your values and the light of your wisdom. Thank you for walking this path with us at the School of Buddha. In our next episode, we'll explore the powerful connection between honesty and integrity, not just as moral ideals, but as the deepest foundation for inner clarity and trust. If you like our initiatives, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with your loved ones, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section. Until then, earn with awareness, live with courage, and let every action, big or small, be worthy of your awakened self.